Revenge films.
My name is Thomas Smith. I work at a telecommunications company in the sales department. I have a girlfriend named Rachel. She's the same age as me, and I recently proposed to her. We became engaged, and she was then my fiancé. I met Rachel back when we were both in college, and about 3 years after we started dating, we decided to get married, and I proposed. Once we graduated from college and I started working at my job, that's when we moved in together. After we started discussing marriage, we went to meet each other's families. We both had good relationships with one another's parents, so when it was decided that we would get married, both of our families were really happy for us and welcomed the marriage. I love Rachel, but there were some parts of her that were a little bit airheaded. She was somebody who had strong opinions and was stubborn about them as well. Because of that, there were often times that she would have misunderstandings, and without realizing that she was misunderstanding, she would continue running with that thought. But I loved Rachel, and I wanted to protect her, and my feelings toward her were strong. So, even after we got married, I wanted to continue to support her and be by her side. Now that we were engaged, our preparations for the wedding were moving forward smoothly. Before we even realized it, time had flown by and it was already the day before our wedding. I was working up until the wedding, and even on the day before I was in the office. But I made sure not to work overtime that day and went home as early as possible. When I got back home, Rachel was sitting on the couch. As soon as she saw me, she said,
Thomas, there's something I need to talk to you about.
And looked down. I asked her, "What's the matter? What's wrong?" But then Rachel responded,
I'm sorry, but I'm calling off the engagement and the wedding. My soulmate proposed to me, and I'm going to marry him.
It was a shocking confession, and I didn't know what to say. Does that mean that you were cheating on me? When I asked her that, she replied,
We haven't done anything yet, but yesterday he said we should get married, and I said yes.
I struggled to understand or wrap my head around the situation. Who is this guy? I need you to explain more in detail. I'm not understanding. When I said that, Rachel then started talking about everything that happened up until the moment she decided to call off the engagement. With the wedding coming up soon, yesterday Rachel had gone out for drinks with her friend as a final celebration of her single life. After dinner, they went to another spot, and at that bar, she said that she ran into her soulmate. Like I said, who is that soulmate? Who the hell is he? When I confronted her about it, she seemed like she was struggling to talk about it, but said,
It's somebody that you know really well, Kevin.
That was all she said, so I pushed even further, and then Rachel finally spat out,
It's Michael. Michael is the one that proposed to me yesterday.
That was all she said. And when I heard that, without thinking, I yelled out, You're joking, right? I couldn't believe it. I did know Michael very well. That's because he was my best friend from back in high school, and we were even on the same soccer team together. Michael was good-looking, and he dressed well. He was the type to be popular with all of the girls, but he was far from the player type. He was an honest and serious guy. When Rachel and I first started dating, we went over to Michael's house a number of times together. The first time that Rachel met Michael, I remember her saying,
Michael, you're a really good-looking guy.
I distinctly remember that moment. But Michael had a girlfriend that he had been dating ever since high school, and I knew that girlfriend well, too. The three of us were always hanging out together. I knew how serious Michael was, so there was no way that he would cheat on his girlfriend. And more than anything, I knew that Michael would never go after his best friend's girlfriend. There was no way, and I trusted Michael. Because of that, I had no doubt that it was Rachel's misunderstanding that Michael proposed to her yesterday, no matter how many times I tried to explain to Rachel. I know that Michael has a girlfriend that he's been dating for many years, so this has to be some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe you misheard him. But even if I said that to her, she insisted.
There's no way that's true. I know for a fact that he proposed to me.
And she refused to listen to anything I had to say. But even still, I desperately tried to explain to her that that must still be a misunderstanding. But then, Rachel lost her temper and started yelling at me.
That's enough already. Do you not realize how much better looking Michael is than you? If somebody that wonderful proposed, well, yeah, any girl would want to call off their engagement to someone like you. Anyway, I'm gonna go to Michael's house now. I'm gonna be with my soulmate, so stop pulling me back anymore.
Those were her last words, and she stormed out of the house. I never could have imagined in my wildest dreams that the day before my wedding things were going to turn out this way. I was devastated towards Rachel and about this situation. We had dated for 3 years and we were even going to get married tomorrow. But I couldn't believe that she would have a change of heart this easily. I was so devastated I didn't know what to do. I stared at the marriage certificate that we were planning on filling out tomorrow morning and turning into the city office before the wedding. And that was when I decided that I was going to part ways with Rachel. But first, more than anything, I felt like I needed to ask Michael for his side of the situation. So I ended up following out the door after Rachel, and I headed toward Michael's house. As I was heading over there, I received a message from Rachel.
Hey, which one was Michael's apartment building? I'm sure that I'm nearby, but I can't remember which exact building it is.
But I ignored that message, and knowing that she wasn't there yet, I hurried so that I would get to Michael's apartment before Rachel could get there. As soon as I got to his apartment, I rushed to ring the doorbell. Michael looked shocked when he opened up the front door, and then he said, "This is rare for you to show up here without at least calling me first." He looked confused, so I replied, "It's a little bit of an emergency. Can I come in?" I asked him to go inside, and then we locked the door, and straight off the bat, I asked him, "Hey, Michael, you didn't propose to marry Rachel yesterday, did you?" When I asked him that, Michael burst out laughing. "Rachel? As in your girlfriend, Rachel? Cut it out with those jokes! Tomorrow is your wedding, isn't it?" he replied. But when I explained the situation to him, Michael said that he had no recollection of seeing Rachel yesterday, and he seemed creeped out. I told him that Rachel was insisting that she saw him at a bar yesterday and that he proposed to her. But then Michael said, "Well, the one truth to that is that I was at a bar with my girlfriend yesterday. While we were there, we were talking about our marriage, but obviously there's no way on earth that I would propose to your girlfriend, is there?" He seemed confused as well. At that moment, the doorbell to Michael's apartment rang. When we looked at the security screen standing there, it was Rachel. Through the monitor, Michael pressed the talk button and said, "Yes, hello?" To which Rachel started saying,
Hey, Michael, you can let me inside. I just broke up with Thomas a second ago, so let's continue our conversation from yesterday about getting married.
When he heard that, Michael started to shake, and he replied to her, "Our conversation from yesterday? What are you talking about?" When he said that, Rachel didn't seem fazed and said,
Don't you remember? You were saying that we should have the wedding in Hawaii.
She said. At that moment, Michael cut off the monitor and turned to me and said, "I was talking to my girlfriend about that yesterday, but it looks like she thinks it's about her. This is crazy. This is terrifying." Michael was shocked. When we looked back up the monitor to see what she was doing, Rachel was waving her hands in front of it, saying,
Hurry up and open the door. Let's plan the details of our wedding.
That's what she was saying, so this time I spoke. Hey, it's me, Thomas, but you've had a huge misunderstanding. Then Rachel seemed flustered.
Thomas, why are you here? I told you not to pull me back anymore, didn't I?
And she started to throw a tantrum. Even when I told her that the discussion about the wedding was what Michael was talking to his girlfriend about and that Rachel had a misunderstanding, she refused to listen in any way whatsoever. Even though Michael and I tried to explain to her multiple times together that she was misunderstanding, Rachel started to panic and said,
Well then, what am I supposed to do? I already broke up with Thomas, so you should be taking responsibility for this. Break up with your girlfriend and get married to me.
This time she was saying these ridiculous things. Michael lost his temper and said, Are you kidding me? That's enough already. I'm getting married to my girlfriend. I'm definitely not getting married to you. When he raised his voice, Rachel started sobbing on the spot. But then, one of the residents of the apartment saw that and reported it to the police, and the situation turned into a huge commotion. When the police arrived, Rachel went into even more of a panic and started going crazy. It was a situation that nobody could handle, so we had to contact Rachel's parents. When they ran to the scene and we explained the situation to them, they seemed over it. Her parents apologized to Michael and I, and they started speaking to Rachel. Now that her parents had arrived, Rachel started to calm down. The police issued her a stern warning, and they left. Then, Rachel turned to me and said,
Okay, I understand now that it was my misunderstanding. Let's get married as planned tomorrow.
She said to me. However, after already seeing such a horrible sight in front of me, I had already lost all desire to get married to her. Get married? Obviously, there's no way I'm gonna do that. And I quickly denied her. Rachel seemed shocked.
What? Are you saying that you're going to cancel the wedding? I can't believe you would cancel the day before. That's unbelievable.
When she said that, I replied, Who's the one that went and had a change of heart and said they wanted to call off the engagement and the wedding in the first place? There's no way that I would be able to marry a woman like that. When I said that, Rachel's parents started to panic and they tried to convince me otherwise. But no matter what they said to me, I told them that my feelings weren't going to change, so I declared that the wedding was going to be canceled and the engagement was called off. Rachel was crying and said,
I just got a little bit lost with my feelings, that's all. Please, forgive me.
But I ignored her and replied, You're the one that said you didn't want to get married tomorrow, so I'm gonna leave the cancellation fees to you. And then I went home alone. The next day, I sent all of Rachel's belongings to her family's house, and I contacted my friends and family that the wedding had been canceled. Everybody was shocked, but when I explained the situation to them, everyone took my side and sympathized with me. After that, Rachel was left having to pay the full amount for the venue cancellation fee, and because she didn't have enough in her savings, she had to borrow money from her parents. Every time she tried to apologize to my family or to the friends we had invited, they all looked at her with cold eyes, and nobody wanted to be associated with her anymore. Her parents said that they couldn't let her in the wild anymore, so they forced her to stay in the family house. She wasn't allowed to leave the family house after that, and she is still holed up at home. She wasn't allowed to work, and she couldn't go out to play either, and so she would never be able to get a boyfriend again and would lead a boring life. As for me, after breaking up with Rachel, I had a lot of time on my hands. I decided to try messing around with cryptocurrency, but I earned a shocking amount, and I was able to start living in a luxury building. Now that I had money, I was fully enjoying a comfortable life and plan on doing so alone for a while. I've had enough of being thrown around by a woman, so for the time being, I want to enjoy my life freely.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.